Hello everyone, welcome to episode 53 of the EMDR Doctor Podcast. I have a question for you. Are you happy now? And are you expecting to be happy in your old age? I've been thinking recently about the aging process, getting old, planning for old age, mainly because my mother recently celebrated her 85th birthday, which is such a huge achievement. She is batting at about average at the moment. Currently, the life expectancy for women is 85. For men, it's a little bit lower at 81. So she is doing really well, and she just took a trip overseas. So she is actively enjoying her old age. Incidentally, Australia has one of the highest life expectancies in the world, so we really do live in the lucky country. At the same time, I'm reflecting on how I can do aging better. So I'm doing a bit more exercise. I'm focusing on doing that a little bit more regularly, actually more regularly than I ever have done, more consistently than I've done in my life before, and eating lots of vegetables. And of course, I'm working and still learning and studying, so that's taking care of my brain mobility and strength. I'm even cutting back a little bit on alcohol. Not something that I actually thought was a problem, but certainly every drink kills off a few brain cells, they say, so I'm keen not to do that as best I can. And a lot of my clients are perimenopausal, which is a time of change for so many women in so many ways. So not just physical, but societal, with children moving out, maybe new generations arriving, work layoffs, sometimes unemployment or financial issues, and planning for retirement. There's a lot happening. And being an EMDR practitioner, I work with women to help to smooth the way through these big life shifts, often using EMDR to resolve some of the difficulties that they may be feeling about some of these big life transitions. These transitions can be really fraught with changes of identity. So am I the same person as I was when I was differently abled, or can I express myself the same way through my previous hobbies or interests in the same way? Do I have the same social networks, including my friend groups, as they age at the same rate that I do? A couple of my friends are downsizing, so they're selling the family home and they're moving, sometimes to Queensland, which, as a Melbourneian, Queensland is a long way away. It's delightful, it's lovely and warm, but we do miss our friends who moved to Queensland for their retirement. So I've been mulling over all of those things and the variables that I can either control or not control. And I remembered the other day about this article that I read perhaps 7 years ago when I was studying my master's, and the conclusion of that article was that there was one outstanding factor that affected happiness in retirement. There was one thing that helped people feel happy, and before I read the article, I assumed that it was health, or money, or family, or stable housing. No. The best predictor of happiness in retirement was how many groups a person belonged to. Yeah, social connectedness. So I had a little think the other day about my own social connectedness. Work. I belong to a work community. Mothers group, can you believe it? 25 years later, our mothers group is still meeting up occasionally, and that's about it. So I had better get moving on the joining the groups if I want a happy retirement. But there are a few obstacles. So I'm quite an introvert, which means that it's kind of hard to join a group. I much prefer one-on-ones, and if I do join a group, I often feel pretty, let's say, awkward for the first, 3 years? No, not quite, but it is a struggle for me to join groups. But for those of you who are like me in that way, and I do know that many people feel the same, this world is built around extroverts, but there are many of us who are sometimes closet introverts. And that's why I'm talking about this, to normalize it a little bit. We are not all sociable people who love to meet new people, like they used to say on the dating shows on television. So for those of you who are like me, socializing can be made a lot easier if we dial down the anxiety around the judgment from others. And this can be a really good focus for EMDR. This is not trauma work. I do not have PTSD. I don't need to work on major trauma, but it is certainly important work for some, or maybe many people, who want to be happier in later life, or maybe even current life. You don't have to wait to retire to be happier, to be more connected. And I'm sure that social connectedness improves happiness in any age group, not just after retirement. Maybe after retirement, it is a little bit more important to concentrate on other groups because we don't have that work community. So if we're working on this utilizing EMDR, we might look at some of the negative beliefs about ourselves. I'm socially awkward, I can't make friends, I'm an outsider, I don't belong. We would look at these negative beliefs. So these are not universal truths, they're just beliefs that we hold about ourselves. And we would trace these beliefs back to the origins, usually in early childhood, sometimes in the teenage years, sometimes in those early adult experiences of getting to know new friends or dating or first jobs, that sort of thing. And often what we find to work on, we use EMDR to resolve the discomfort or shame or embarrassment involved in those memories. And then we can learn something better about ourselves, like, I'm a good person, people like me for who I am, I can be myself, I can find my tribe, I deserve good friends, or whatever feels good and wholesome and happiness-inducing. And then when we've cleared all those negative cognitions or beliefs and we have a firm sense of the positive beliefs, then we can move into the implementation of those beliefs. So this is the integration of the mind work into the real world and start on some behavioural change, like joining a book club or a craft group or a pickleball club or a bird watching group or volunteering or whatever it is that curls your toes. So this is a beautiful example of how EMDR can be used for lots of issues outside of trauma work. And what could be more important than ensuring happiness? So I'd love to hear your experience of changing your life through EMDR. Please feel free to comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or send me an email at admin@therapynest.com.au if you would like to explore this for yourself and work with me on future-proofing your happiness in your old age, or even right now. I am also about to open up some spots in my week for consultation for EMDR therapists. So if you're an EMDR therapist listening to this and you are looking for consultation, please shoot me an email and we can figure out a time to suit. All right, I hope that's been helpful. I will talk to you again next week. In the meantime, take good care. Bye for now.